What's going on, everybody? It's Ryan here. Today we are going to talk about business operations. We're going to talk about how it's like a game, right? A game. So running your own business is a lot like running a game. And the fun part about it is that you get to write a lot of the rules. It's like designing a game. One thing to keep in mind, though, there really is one or two important scores that matter in the majority of all businesses. And that actually there's really one, I would say, and that would be profit, right? So if you're not making money, if you're not making profit, you're not building equity, you are not winning. So how do I want to start this discussion? Well, I want to start by talking about sort of the game itself, right? And in a game, there are rules. Or there's an objective, and the objective in this case we're talking about profit. And if you want to make lots of profit, it's really about the margins. I like talking about business operations, and why I want to make this video. It has a lot to do with just kind of like doing the things that people generally don't want to do, or the things that people tend to be very lazy to do. And business operations to me is really more about details. You know, like if you think about a restaurant business, right? You think about how you're greeted at the front door, kind of how everything looks, like to the design, to the way that the kitchen is run. I mean, restaurants aren't really a good example for me because I don't have any experience in that industry, but I have a lot of experience in gyms. And one of the things that tells you that someone is a good operator, or I should say this, someone who has a lot of experience in their field, in the gym business. There's this thing they used to always say, like my district managers and upper management would say, the big heads, the big wigs, they would say, when you walk into, because in our company structure, you usually have a club manager, and then above that you have like a district manager, and then above that you have like an area or regional manager, and then you have like a divisional vice president. And they would often do these club visits every quarter. And one of the things that I've heard from one of the best operators is, what he would say is that when you walk into a gym, the moment you step in, just by being there, you can already tell if it's a good club or not. Now, it almost sounds like a little bit of hocus pocus and kind of a little bit of a bull crapola. And I have to say that I used to think that too. I used to think that, like, what the hell do you know? I mean, really? How do you know that everything's running well? And this is me being very young, a young buck in my 20s. Not liking upper management or having a distrust for upper management, but also admiration at the same time. What they're feeling, what they're sensing, what they're experiencing is their basically years, or I should say not years, but their time of what's that word? Intuition, right? Because over time, what happens in any business or any business endeavor, or anything that you're doing, you sort of build intuition. You start to learn. What is good, what is bad. God, this is so difficult sometimes to describe. But I want to start here at this kind of higher level, kind of like a 10,000 feet above the air. Like you're looking at essentially like of all your time of spending on a subject matter or a topic or a game or a business. What happens is you end up having a sixth sense, or a highly complicated algorithmic kind of brain or processing unit that can sort of feel like what's going on, right? You have this sense of intuition where like this is in the wrong place, this is in the right place, this person is sharp, this person is not. And sometimes, it's wrong, right? That's what the problems with being too overconfident. But when you have done the work and you've been there for a while, you kind of know what is right and what is wrong. I'll give you another example. There's just a post that someone asked in a group, right? And it's actually for collectible card games. We're going off the top tangent here, but think about this for a moment. He put this post saying that he's selling about thousands of dollars worth of cards. And the post says the person that's buying it from him wants to change his address. And then he reached out to PayPal, and PayPal said that if you change the address, that's not on file, it's not confirmed, if there's anything that would happen, you wouldn't be protected by PayPal's protection. And he's asking the questions if he should do it. And kind of, I don't know, to me, it almost seems like a dumb question because maybe it's not a dumb question, but in a way it's kind of a rhetorical question. The answer is of course not. Maybe he's doubting himself or she's doubting herself about the trade or the sale. But I think I basically commented back and I said, I think you already know, don't send the cards, right? And that's what business operations is. It's just learning the small details that over time you build this intuition of knowing how to make the best decisions. So let's get more in the nitty gritty about sort of like what I mean about operating a business. Is that at the end of the day, it really kind of comes down to you doing the work and spending the time in the business itself. Right? I'm listening to a book, the founder, McDonald's, Ray Kroc, his bio on McDonald's, and it's interesting. About three quarters away from the book, through the book, and he's talking about, and I've also watched the movie, which is awesome too. That you just start to like he made the burgers, he washed the dishes, he sold the product. Probably more than anything, selling the product or selling any product for a long period of time helps build your intuition a lot. And then you sort of learn kind of what parts of the business are most important. The truth about it is kind of everything has a hierarchy, what's most important. And one of my main priorities is profit, right? And when you're trying to hit that profit number or that profit goal, there's a lot of things that have to happen correctly or properly so that you can essentially do one of two things. Hit a big number, right? Become very profitable. But also have the profit be sustained. My focus is not really hitting huge numbers or having gigantic days, right? I've never been that kind of a person. I mean, it's great to have that. You make a lot of money one day, you make a lot of revenue, you hit some goals, and you need those. But I've always been of the mindset of kind of daily operations, reps and sets, consistent revenue, consistent growth, right? Stability. And kind of getting off here on a tangent, but the thing is like you have to spend the time doing all the things inside the business. And if not necessarily doing all the things, maybe you don't necessarily have to clean the toilets, but if you did clean the toilets, you would have a different appreciation for keeping toilets clean or keeping bathrooms clean at least, right? There are things that you won't like and things that you do like and things that kind of what customers like. And especially when you're in sales, and you learn to sell, and you look at, I'm in online marketing, so there's a lot of, conversion rates and stats and clicks and EPC and CPM and ECPM and all these weird, these stats and just knowing what these stats mean. But then the stats don't really mean anything if you don't know how to put them in context. And that's what intuition is. It's learning how to put things into context. And the context is really important because, I don't really have a good example for context, but different situations you have to dig deep because when you see there's something wrong, right, with the way numbers are reported or that the way why a customer is unhappy, because often that's what happens when a customer is unhappy, that tells you something, right? Or better yet, if a customer doesn't buy anything, if you're getting a bunch of traffic or you're getting people coming in and you have people present the product and it's not selling, or you're not selling enough product or sales are low, that tells you something. And it's that years of intuition, that time in the business, that time in the research that actually tells you kind of what to look for and what's important. And when you're trying to, again, be a good operator, it really is going in the details. I mean, I guess there are a lot of guys out there, a lot of gals or business leaders out there that are super smart and they can see something or see someone do something and they can kind of figure it out, right? They can tell them what to do and they can grow a business, right? They're big visionary people. And I'm sure that works for some people, but for me, that never really worked. What worked for me and how I understand it is that I actually have to do it. And so, I have to actually do the work. I have to actually do the thing, like if I want to organize a filing cabinet, I don't know how to really tell someone how to organize a filing cabinet without doing it myself or doing some of it, doing a little bit of research and then organizing the filing cabinet. But then again, that's a little bad example because if you're operating a business and your goal and your primary role is to drive profit, you probably don't want to organize the filing cabinet. But that's the thing. is all about context. So now again, taking this analogy a step further, think about this. The filing cabinet might be the reason why your books aren't organized and you can't make proper decisions. So in that case, if that's the reason why you need to organize the filing cabinet, well then it's a little different versus like if you're doing well already and the cabinet is just not perfect. I think that's sort of like what business operations is. It's really about kind of perfection, but knowing when to not push to perfection. Because a lot of people want to are perfectionists, especially when you're just starting out. You want to hit a home run. You want to win, and especially if you're an artist or have artist tendencies, you kind of want everything to be perfect. Or if you're just making something, like me making this video, you want it to be perfect, right? I want to do editing. I want to do a bunch of different things and add an intro and all that kind of stuff. And you just kind of think of like that perfection is actually what kind of limits people, right? That's not true. It does limit people, but it's also important for business operations. So let me see if I can make this make sense. You want that perfection. You want to know what that perfect is or near perfect. But it's learning to know how to back off that perfect. Like this is how you run a register. This is how you run an email list. This is how you choose an offer and sell a product to a group, an audience, right? You have a view. There's a way that it should be done perfectly, right? And when you have something when you have a view like that, that's the perfect way. And you have to know like how far from perfect you need to be. Like this is, just imagine this is perfection, right? And then this is like near perfection. You know, one of a very good, who is it? A friend of mine showed me this video. This guy named Wally, and I think he had a parrot business. And what he did is he had, he was talking about they don't have, the person you hire to run the business doesn't have to do it 100% right, 100% perfect, or even as good as you. Ideally, you want them to do it better than you, but even then, you want them to do it at least 80%. Right? And that's the thing, right? Because the thing is, even if someone is not as good as you, they're doing it 80%, they'll be spending their whole day doing it, which means they can actually do a better job than you because they'll spend more time on it than you. And then over time, they'll get better than you, right? That's kind of that's the leverage of hiring and developing people, right? Now, I'm going into sort of a different topic, but then getting back to operations is really getting into the nitty gritty of the corners of the house, of the building, of the car. Like it's like detailing. You know how we had our car detailed the other day, and you're cleaning everything. It costs like $200 for this thing. They take out the carpets and they vacuum it and they just go in every single door jam and clean. That is really what business operations is about. A good operator knows every single corner. An excellent operator essentially has cleaned every corner or has looked at every corner at one point. And they understand kind of all the pieces of the car that needs to be cleaned. But an excellent operator knows who to hire or knows how to delegate responsibility to handle those sections, right? But they also know like which pieces are important. Because the thing is, like I gave you this example of perfection, which is right here, right? And then you want near perfection. Sometimes 50% perfection isn't what you need at that time. And that's actually the part about operating a business that a lot of people kind of you need to learn to let go. Like, because the thing is, like, you do want to be perfect and you do want to strive for that, but you have to remember this perfect I'm giving you as an example of is this perfect is not perfect, meaning that your idea of what this means is going to change, and what you think is perfect is not perfect, meaning that the ideal way to do something may as you learn more, as you get deeper into your business and understanding of it, that perfect is not what you think it is. You learn that it's either a much higher level or it's completely over here or it's over here, right? Because then you start to learn that the game, and you learn that the game is different or the opponents are different. So taking this analogy even further with the games, like, business operations is a game, you have to look at it like, what's the one? When you have like, you imagine you have, like, I play Magic, right? And I play Flesh and Blood, these card games. And when you play, I always want to know what the best deck is, the most winning deck. And then I want to play that and beat everybody, right? But then what you learn over time, this is just like business, the market changes. It's just, in Magic or card games, it's called the metagame. And the metagame affects your hand. It affects the deck that you play. Because over time, the metagame will change. That's that perfection I'm talking about. This is the best deck for the field, for the opponents that you're going to play. You're going to have the best probability of winning. However, if you face this one deck or this one type of opponent, you're not going to do well. Your probability drops below 50%. And that's kind of like what it's about. It's learning that perfection I'm talking about is going to change. Also, it's going to change because you learn more, but it's going to change because then other people around you change because they get better too. Or a big fish comes in the pond and then they start to spend all the media and they buy all the traffic and all the traffic and make the prices go up. And then you have to change your strategy, or you have to adjust your cost, or you have to plan for certain things. But anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. I think that's all I got. Thanks for watching.